Today we're going to be talking about low-level light therapy. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Sarah Steffen. I'm at home today. I have some construction going on, so I do apologize if you hear some beeping. I was waiting for them to take their lunch. They're not taking the lunch. And this information cannot wait any longer. I have held out on you guys. I apologize for not letting you know what this little thing right here is. You might be like, what in the world are we talking about today? Today we're going to talk about laser therapy. Specifically, what is called in literature is low-level light therapy, LLLT, right? Now, this technology has been around for decades. It is gaining a little more traction. You might have seen a laser being used at your vet. Many vets have been using laser therapy on their animals to help treat their animals for a really long time. And now we're finally catching on to it in the human side of things. So I want to teach you all about lasers today and low-level light therapy so that you know that it's an option that you can turn to in case you're needing some healing and you're not wanting to turn to anti-inflammatories or drugs or other things of that nature, right? Because this thing, no joke, this is one of my favorite purchases ever in my entire life. I bought this about 4 years ago, and it has changed the trajectory of my office and how we treat people, how I look at modalities. This thing is so incredible. Now, let me just kind of give you an idea of what the heck we're even talking about. So I'm just going to pick a protocol here. And I'm not really sure if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to start shining it. So what I'm trying to show you right now is you can probably obviously see the red laser diode right here. What you can see on the other side is there is a second diode, and it's a violet diode. And so my laser, this layer, is a red-violet combination laser, and that makes it really, really powerful. You've seen, I'm sure, especially if you're female, in your anywhere in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, everywhere you're looking right now, it's red light therapy, right? Red light this, red light that. This is another form of red light therapy. This is a very specific wavelength. We have the 405 is the red laser diode and 640 is the violet diode. In the visible spectrum, red is the largest portion of that visible spectrum. So when we're dealing with the 405 and being very, very specific, it is concentrated. So like when you saw it on my hand, it was a laser beam, right? It was very, very fine, very condensed. That would be the same if I shined it on a wall across the room. It would still be a condensed line. Whereas if you took like a laser pointer or one of those red light devices that women are using on their faces, that's a very diffuse energy. So that energy and that light scatters, right? It still really can be very effective, especially fine lines and wrinkles and collagen production. Some of that stuff is what it's being really, really touted for right now. But the difference in that versus this is that it's very, very condensed and it's very specific. So it's very condensed so that it can get into the cell. Now, what does this do? There is a whole litany of things that low-level light therapy or laser therapy does and how it helps the body, right? One of the easiest ways that I think about and I try to teach patients about and other people about is that what this is doing specifically, it's getting into the cell and it's stimulating the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's where all the ATP is made. So if you have healthier mitochondria and more mitochondria, you have more healing capacity, right? So that's one of the easiest things to think about with this. So once you shine this light, those mitochondria are instantly getting stronger. And it's also taking dead and dying mitochondria and making them healthy again, right? That's also why there's kind of a little bit of what we might call an accumulative effect when we use the laser on someone. It's because those mitochondria are going to continue to get stronger through the course of, I don't know, a few hours or so that you can continue to see the benefits of that laser therapy even after it's no longer shining on you. There are other things that this laser does that helps to promote healing. It increases human growth hormone, which children have a lot of. We adults don't really produce a whole lot of human growth hormone. We're not growing anymore. We're not getting taller. Our bones aren't getting longer kind of thing. So this helps us to have more of that human growth hormone to be able to, again, stimulate that healing. It's going to decrease the lymph and toxicity in the cell. So it's going to help to move stuff through the cell and move things through the system. And quite honestly, guys, the litany of mechanisms of action for this laser is so long, and many of them are really over my head, right? I don't understand all of them. We're talking natural killer cells and cytokines and all kinds of stuff that gets really into the weeds. We don't need to necessarily know all that. I'll let that for the really super scientists, the really, really smart guys, the physicists, because that's who's making these, is some really amazing physicists. What we need to know is that light heals, right? This thing heals. So what do I mean by that? Well, this laser. This is an Arconia laser. That's the brand. There are other brands out there. I am very partial to Arconia. Arconia is kind of the OG in the laser sphere. They've been around for a really long time, and their stuff, I believe, is top notch. There are other brands out there, and you will probably find them if you go searching for some laser therapy. If you find an Arconia practitioner, that's when you're really, I think, going to get the top-notch results as well. Arconia has done most of the research within the laser field. Don't totally quote me on this, but I believe there's 21, maybe 22 clearances from the FDA for use on the human body. Arconia has done the research and submitted for 19 of them. So many of those other companies are really relying on the research that Arconia has done with their specific devices. And that's why I'm really going to choose to always go with an Arconia device when I can. Arconia is FDA cleared. All of their devices are FDA cleared to treat any musculoskeletal concern. Some of you, like me, may not really put a whole lot of faith in that because we don't have a whole lot of faith in the FDA. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole today, but know that there is science behind this, there's backing behind this, and it is very, very safe to use. In fact, if you go on PubMed or any of those other search engines and you put in low-level light therapy, LLLT, potentially laser therapy too, but LLLT is what you're really going to find most of them. You're going to find last time I looked, there was over 11,000 research papers just on lasers and how impactful and effective they are. And the really cool thing about lasers, it's light. Everything truly is kind of made of light, right? But because it's made of light, there are no side effects. Unlike drugs or, even steroids or, over the counters, whatever it might be, there's always going to be a side effect, right? With Arconia and with their lasers, there's really no side effects. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. Now, another really cool thing about Arconia lasers is that they are safe to use on the brain. So with an Arconia laser, we can just point and shoot wherever the pain is, right? So if I had pain in my elbow, I could just shine it on my elbow. If I had pain radiating down my back, I could start by working on my lumbar spine and going more where those nerve roots are. But then I could also shine it on my leg, right? And I could shine it over that entire dermatome with wherever I think that nerve and the problem is coming from. But let's say we're not running into any success, or let's say we've got someone who's got a really chronic problem. Maybe you've got really chronic low back pain. Sometimes, you guys, it's not even the body that's in pain. It's the brain that is trapped in a pain cycle. It doesn't know how to not let you know that you're in pain. Even though there's not really any reason for the pain to be happening, the pain still occurs because it's a chemical reaction at that point in your brain. So what's really cool about the lasers is that we can work on the back, we can work on a leg, and then we can go up and we can hit the brain to specifically hit the areas of the brain that we know that are going to be working on and controlling that side of the body and that part of the body, right? So what do I mean by that? Let's say someone has right shoulder pain, chronic right shoulder pain. We could laser their shoulder for sure. The first clearance that Arconia ever had for the laser was for their shoulder. So if you have shoulder pain, go find an Arconia provider and get under that laser, right? But shine it on the shoulder. Then we can go up into that thoracic spine, upper thoracic spine, lower cervical spine, and shine it there, right? And then what we can do is we can go into the brain. So your brain is really, you've got your forebrain, your big brain up here, and then you've got your hindbrain, your littler brain back here. Both are very important. Both have very different responsibilities for our health and our body. The cerebellum, the hindbrain here, controls the same side of the body. So if it was right shoulder pain, I would want to go to the right side here. And the opposite is true for your cerebellum. You want to go to the opposite side. So we would do both this and this to work on this, right? And we've seen some incredible changes when we've been using this on people. So we can go up that stream is what I'm trying to tell you, because this is safe enough to use on the brain. Some of the lasers out there really are not, right? Some laser companies will say, we have more power than an zirconia. Power doesn't mean more benefit. Power could actually mean more harm, right? So these guys have they've honed in on what the best power and wattage, and again, the frequencies of those lights and those the laser diodes themselves. Again, I don't know necessarily all of that, but I know that there's really smart physicists behind all of that. Now, I was just talking about the brain and how it's safe to use on the brain. This is also something that we could use on the brain for someone who might be dealing with brain problems, just very specifically brain problems. Let's say concussion. If you have an athlete in your family, or if you've suffered a concussion or a traumatic brain injury from a car accident or sporting injury or something of that nature, I have seen some of the coolest changes with concussions with this laser, and in really short order, right? I mean, a few sessions, and I had a hockey player who had a really nasty concussion. We did 2 treatments on him and he was good. Not saying that he didn't need further treatment, right? And not saying that there wasn't need for continued surveillance for him. But within 2 treatments, actually even after the first one, I believe, he was like, I feel so much better. My headache is less. I'm not as dizzy. You know, he wasn't as nauseous. So that brain, we can use this right on the brain. So if you've got some neurodegenerative disorders, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, this is a small one. This is a handheld zirconia laser, but zirconia makes lasers that are really big, right? I mean, they have 4 or 5 diodes. They have arms and they have one coming off the top. I would love to buy one of those. I need to make some more money to do that. Those are really expensive, but they're phenomenal, especially when you're dealing with someone with like a neurodegenerative disorder or something that's really complex, because you've got more than just the one red diode and purple diode. You've got multiple diodes hitting that area at the time. The treatment times are also less for that. So a typical treatment time for mine is about 6 minutes, 8 minutes. If you did plantar fasciitis or acne, that's 10 minutes, but that's it. I mean, it's really fast. And those bigger lasers are, they can be as quick as 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, they're just that fast. So with this, I'll give you some examples of things that it can be used on, because you may not think of some of these things that I'm going to tell you. I think it's pretty obvious that we use it on pain all the time in my office. Someone comes in with acute pain or even chronic pain. We've got different settings for both of those, and it works quickly. I had a woman who came in with, well, she was a regular patient. She came in and she was complaining of ankle pain. And this was right after I had purchased it. I was like, well, let's just do an experiment. Let's try it. And at the time I was still kind of doing some tests where I would shine it literally just to upregulate the brain. This is what I'm talking about with the brain. And sometimes it's just your brain telling your body that you have pain. I shined the laser on her ankle for 15 seconds. I am not kidding. 15 seconds. I took it away. She's like, is it really going to do anything? And I was like, I don't know. Tell me. Move your foot. And she moved her foot and she's like, you've got to be kidding me right now. And I was like, what? And she's like, the pain is gone. So we completed the treatment, but her ankle pain to this day has never come back. Does everyone work that way? No. Some people really need a lot more treatment than that. But some people really do notice changes that quickly. We had a gentleman who had psoriasis. He has patches on his hand. They weren't necessarily really active at the time, but we did a psoriasis protocol on him, which was part skin, where we shined it right on his skin. And then it was also, I believe, liver. So we shined it onto where his liver is. And I followed up with him because I forgot to ask him that day. But I followed up with him the next time I saw him. I'm like, Mike, what'd you think? Like, what happened? And he's like, I noticed a change in my skin immediately. And I was like, really? He's like, immediately. And this is someone who's been dealing with this for decades, right? My father-in-law has a really bummer shoulder, like just not a good shoulder. And he really didn't believe in this. And so before I had him do it, I was like, okay, show me what your range of motion is, and he was like, like he could barely get it up and is just a lot of pain. We did a 6-minute shoulder protocol. Like I said, shoulder protocols are amazing. And afterwards, I was like, okay, move your arm. And meanwhile, this was on vacation in Hayward, and his whole family was sitting around. So my husband, his brother, my sister-in-law, his wife, like the whole slew of people. And I go, raise your arm. Let me see, what's it feel like? He's like, he's like, I still got pain. He's literally raising his arm all the way up. And my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were just like, and he's like, I don't think it worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, stop what you're doing right now. How far are you moving that shoulder? And he's like, he was just stared at it. He was incredulous. It was really, really funny. But let me go through this because I could talk for a really long time about this laser. As you can obviously tell, I absolutely love it. Things you would not maybe think that would be treated by a laser: shingles or cold sores, viruses, right? I mean, I've had friends who've come in with cold sores and I'm like, get in there, get in. We're doing the laser right now. I don't care. You do have to be careful around the eyes. You have to wear, glasses. You can't treat a pregnant woman, right? You're not going to treat their belly, that kind of thing. So there are some contraindications, but not many. Not even metal or tattoos. Some other laser companies, you cannot laser over a tattoo. This one's totally safe and fine. I already mentioned concussion, earaches. I bring this home every weekend and many times even during the week because I never know what's going to happen at my house, right? And if I have a kid who suddenly gets sick, I want to be able to use this for the immune system. And we use it on the long bones, and we use it on the thymus and the thyroid and the liver and the spleen, and it is awesome, right? But earaches is another one, or ear infections. We use this a lot for those. In fact, I had a young girl who came in and her mom's like, she's just awful. She just doesn't feel good. We're just going to get adjusted and leave today. I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to get adjusted and we're going to do the laser. And she texted me later. She's like, Ayla's ear was better by the time we reached the car. Wild. Gallbladder. Bruises, really bad bruises. If you are really anxious and you want to stimulate your vagus nerve, I'll do another video sometime on the vagus nerve, but the vagus nerve helps calm our body down. There's a fantastic protocol for that. Oral hygiene. So if you have something going on in your mouth, or if you have like a toothache or something, really good. I got out of my protocols here. Let me go. Let's see, I can pre-program 40 in. So I have them all full. We used this last summer on Duke. At the time he was 5. He broke his collarbone one of the last days of school, literally the last day of school. And this thing is really great for treating fractures. I, as a chiropractor, cannot legally treat fractures. I mean, we took him to the emergency room, but when we came home, we did our own therapy and our own treatment, very much including the laser on a regular basis, 2 times a day, minimally. Let's see, sinuses, bursitis, neuropathy. Had an older gentleman who had diabetic neuropathy. We see him typically like once a year. He comes in and does a session of like 10 because it clears up his neuropathy in his toes from his diabetes. I mean, I kid you not. It's really cool. Constipation, migraines, bug bites, sunburns. And we use it all the time on sunburns. People will come in and be like, oh, I had, sunburn over the weekend. I'm like, all right, you want to do some laser? And they're like, will it help? I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. It takes the sting away, right? It doesn't take the pinkness away. It helps it heal faster. It's still there, but it maximizes that healing capacity. So I guess really what I wanted to get across to you guys today is if you haven't already been aware of what laser therapy is and what it can do for you, and you're suffering from something, go online, call around, find some people that might have a laser and see if you can get in there, right? Get yourself under that light. It's painless. You literally can't feel it. Mine has no thermal effect. You wouldn't even know it's on there. People are like, are you doing anything back there? And I'm like, yeah, it's on, unless we had it beep every 2.5 seconds, which is annoying. But otherwise you have no idea that it's doing anything. It's just shining that light, right? And it's so great. You're not really going to find this with medical providers, at least not at this point. It's not really chargeable to insurance, so it's not going to be an interest to them. You might find it with like a functional medicine provider for sure, or a nurse practitioner who's got some, a more of a holistic approach. But most of the time, where you're going to find a laser is someone like a physical therapy, chiropractors. Like I said earlier, vets use it a lot. So it's getting more and more popular, and for a reason. It's not expensive. I mean, you may have to pay for it out of pocket, but if $200 helps you clear something up or helps you get over a broken bone that much faster, or whatever it might be, in my opinion, I think it's totally worth it. So Yeah, can you tell that I love my laser? I love it just a little bit. In fact, as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm packing it up and it's coming with me this weekend for the St. Jude Dick Hiley Classic in Wabasha, Minnesota. Because again, you never know when you're going to need it, and I might as well bring it since it's mine. Thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate your support. If you've got questions on lasers or anything of this nature, please let me know down in the comments. And yeah, if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I've got new videos that come out every Monday and Thursday.